Welcome to tonight's show. It's the channel that you all know, the Frumess channel. I'm Jeff Murdergram. Jeffrey Murdergram here, reporting for duty. Tonight we have a big show. I'm very excited about tonight's show. I've been kind of saving it the way one saves a bottle of wine for a special occasion. You know, I mean, that's the problem with such finite, precious material. It's just you gotta use it when the time is right, and the time was right tonight. I felt to do the first part in our deep dive series on the now lost book, Teenagers from Mars, a history of the visual history of the Misfits, I suppose. What's going on? Thank you for dancing right into the chat. And yeah, so we're going to really be launching the show. A quick announcement before we get there, though. I have a big guest that I'm very excited to have on the show. Well, big for our channel, I would say. You know, a first for the channel as well. And I think everybody's going to really enjoy it. I believe that's going to be in early February, and I'm going to drop that really, really soon. So really keep your eyes peeled as to who and what that will be, what that show will be. So that's important to take note of. I additionally can say that Tank, Jonathan Grimm, who used to be the Misfits 95 tour manager, we're going to be doing a super long, epic 3-part. It's probably going to be hours and hours and hours just talking about, you know, his experiences and, you know, the before time and just all sorts of stuff. If you don't know who Tank is, Jonathan Grimm, go look him up and make sure to stay tuned in for that as well. I think that it's really important that we start the show off the right kind of way, the only kind of way. Hello, greetings to our viewer from Brazil, Magnon. Welcome to the show. There's only one proper way to start this show. Let's do it right, guys. We're gonna do it right.
Jeff is gonna talk about the Misfits right now. He's a nerd about this stuff, obsessed anyhow. Jeff never shuts his face, always needs to talk. Might show some weight if he went out for a walk. Do you think Danzig cares? He doesn't care. He's out in Ranch.
Okay, the show has officially began now. I'm happy about that. We wanted that to happen. I'd like to turn everybody's attention to our first piece tonight. Misfits guitarist Bobby Steele and his family has fallen on some hard times, and someone has set up this GoFundMe. This guy Carl Super has set up a fundraiser, a GoFundMe fundraiser for Bobby and Diana and their family. Their family needs help. They're raising money. It's a lot of stuff is going on. They are dealing with many health issues. Diana is dealing with health issues, and their daughter is in a hard-hitting, terrible, nasty court custody case that's really not my business or anybody else's to dive into. I just hope that it all works out for the best for them, and so I just wanted to raise awareness for their GoFundMe. Bobby has been such a sweetheart to me over the years and been so helpful and been so generous with his time. And I just wanted to let people know about his fundraiser. So you can see right here, it's in the chat. So if anybody has a couple bucks to throw at this GoFundMe, please do so. Help Bobby Steele and his family out. It's gofundme.com/F/Bobby-Steele's-Misfits Undead-Family-Needs-Help. That's for everybody who is listening to this on podcast. That's right. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So if you don't like watching on YouTube, you can listen as a podcast. So make sure to check that out. And wishing Bobby and his family and Diana and all of them all the best, truly. So as I said, we're talking about Teenagers from Mars. Quick history. There have been, I would say, there have been 3 major books that feature the Misfits, right? There are other things, like, for instance, Steve Blush's American Hardcore has a couple of things about the Misfits. PKM briefly mentions Jerry Only in regards to hanging out with Howie Pyro as they were depositing Sid Vicious's ashes on Nancy's grave. What else is there? You have as I said, Myke Hideous. He wrote a book about his time when he was touring with the Misfits. It's like his tour journal. It's kind of like his Henry Rollins did Get in the Van. This is Myke Hidious's Get in the Van, kind of. So there's that. And then you have 3 books that really seem to have broken through in some way, shape, or form, or were at one time actually on the market. One of them, frankly, is not even worth mentioning by name. I don't want to, nothing against the author, but, again, it's so much is lifted from Misfits Central. Like, his work is just like my work. All of our work comes from Mark Kennedy, and the fact that the book doesn't mention or really, give Mark Kennedy the credit that he deserves. It's not credit that Mark Kennedy is asking for either. It's just, this is my own personal opinion about the matter. I just think it's kind of tacky that, it's like a narrative written about the book. So I'm not even going to mention it. Then you have the second book, which actually came out third, but since we're building up to Teenagers from Mars, which I believe came out first, we're going to talk about this one first instead, and that's Scream With Me. And we've talked about Scream With Me. And Tom B, he was the dude. He was at Caroline, and he worked with the Misfits and helped to produce and put out the Static Age album, as well as the Misfits box set, and 12 Hits from Hell, and just, has a completely unique perspective. And we've spoken a little bit about him before, and him and his partners, Umberto, and oh my God, I was just talking about this guy. Was Danny? What the hell is his name? The third dude. Oh my God, please forgive me. Now I got to look up his name. I feel terrible. Scream With Me. I feel like such a Jeremy Dean. So sorry, Jeremy. Jeremy Dean, Tom Begowitz, and Umberto. These 3 guys, they put out this book. And as far as I'm concerned, and not, in my personal opinion, after looking through the books, I guess in a way, actually, Teenagers from Mars is almost like it is a worthy companion book, in the sense that it has a lot more like band photos, and Scream With Me is more of like a visual history through memorabilia and collecting and like records and things. So they really kind of go hand in hand. But if I had to think of like what is the definitive book, it's Scream With Me, because it's got, you have blurbs from people who are really in the history, as opposed to you have Kenny and Frank talking from their personal experience. And listen, there's nobody more insider than Ken Caiafa, Rocky, aka Schlock, Jerry and Doyle's brother. He's as inside as it gets. But it's one perspective versus what they did in Scream With Me, which is just there's just so much. It's so beautiful. It's so beautifully put together, and I really can't say enough great things about Scream With Me. So for me, that's like my favorite of the 2 that I've seen, and I've looked through both books mostly. Well, I have Scream With Me. I wasn't able to get a copy of Teenagers from Mars, which is why we're going to look at it the way that we were going to look at it. At the time when we did the Scream With Me look through, you could still buy the book. The thing was, they cannot repress that book anymore. So whatever is out there, and that's it. At the time, we didn't read all the stuff in there because, you could still buy the book. I didn't want to like take away from people buying the book and enjoying it. However, you cannot get a copy of Teenagers from Mars at all. And if you do get it, it goes for hundreds and hundreds of dollars over price or whatever. It's in the couple hundreds, something like that. I think it's gone for as much as $200. That's a lot. It's a lot for a book, you know. I don't want to, again, I think what they put together is a really great thing. It's wonderful. I had seen a bunch of those photos in the past. I was privileged enough. Kenny shared some of his photos with me. I had met Kenny before. Well, I'll get into that in a second. Point being is that you have these 3 books that have gotten through, but of those 3 books, only the book that I didn't really talk about is the only book that you can still kind of buy. Teenagers from Mars can't get anywhere, and Scream With Me is out of print. And so by that standard, I think it justifies being able to look through the book now. We should be able to look through something that we can't buy. If we could physically buy it in a store, I would say support the book, buy it in a store. We can't. And we love this stuff and we want to go over it. So that's what we are going to do. Okay. And I don't want to, that's all I have to say about it. Again, and if you really do enjoy the book, go, I don't know if, I don't think Kenny and Frank have a website, but if they have, seek them out. I don't know if they're selling art or anything else, but you should go and support them in whatever their endeavors are. So now back to my interactions with Kenny come via Tank, actually, because Tank and Kenny are partners. They have the All-American Pool Service company. They work together, doing pool maintenance. It's one of the things that they do. And when I first spoke to Tank, Tank was the one who put me in touch with Kenny. And I came over to Tank's house, went right on the block in where they all live, where everybody lives. They all live right next to each other. And I interviewed Kenny for about 4 hours. He was so generous with his time. And I just want to say again, Kenny is such a nice, like, awesome, solicitous. Like, he didn't have to do that for me. Like, he doesn't know me. I'm a stranger. He didn't have to spend all this time talking, letting this, goober ask him questions, about stuff. Like, he was so generous with his time. And he pieced together a lot of things because he was around then. He pieced together a lot of interesting stories from a first-hand perspective. We've heard so many of these stories, like when Doyle hit somebody over the head with a guitar, or the New Orleans grave robbing incident. He was there for those things. So having him talk on my tape and tell me his story from his first person perspective, and it's detailed, and it's also kind of unbiased, because again, he doesn't have a horse in the race. So he's remembering details that maybe those other guys might want to forget. It was very interesting to hear him talk. And now, or at least him and this guy, Frank White, they got together and they put out this, it's a photo book more than anything. There's words, but it's mostly photos, which is another reason as to why, it's not, I mean, it's kind of easy breezy to go through, but we're going to take our time with it. We're not here to do it all in one big lump and sum, because, well, I mean, let's break it up a little bit. So before we get there, we're going to read an article that's kind of like a review of Teenagers from Mars and what it is. So let's do that, because that's what we do here on the channel, right? We take our time. If it's your first time joining us on this channel, I highly advise you to subscribe, to like this video, to leave a comment, consider grabbing a cup of coffee, support the creation of this content, whatever you want to do. Most important thing, though, is subscribing. Most important thing, though, is just tuning in and being a part of the conversation in the show. Trying to hold my concentration. So I see people in the comments. So glad you're all here. We'll get to some comments a little bit later. We're gonna read now, and I'm gonna try and read good. This is for a blog associated with The Hundreds, and The Hundreds is like a clothing brand that I've only recently, they've been around forever. They've been around for almost 30 years, but I've only recently come to know them because the creator came on Kevin Smith's podcast because they're doing a clothing thing with Kevin Smith. So that was cool. And so they were on my radar when I was like, oh yeah, that's the 100s. So this is by Tony Retman. It was on from October 17th, 2019, the Misfits Teenagers from Mars. Last December, I wrote the following article for the hundreds in order to promote the release of the book, Teenagers from Mars, The Misfits Among Us, 1978 to 2006. Unfortunately, due to the usual legal horse crap that lingers around the band, the book was pulled from the shelves and the article was killed. Check out Larry Lingo with the journalistic slang. So, yeah, very quickly, that is what happened. The book, just like Scream With Me was allowed to continue to be sold, but this book was stopped. They were completely stopped and recalled, and people had even ordered the book and it never came to them and stuff. It was really a real bummer for those people who wanted to see these photographs. So in a non-celebration of the Misfits playing Madison Square Garden, for a review of that show, go check out on this channel. I was at that show. Phenomenal show. By the way, well, we'll get there in a second. So in the non-celebration of the Misfits playing Madison Square Garden this weekend, I figured to run the article here on the site. Maybe I'll get a cease and desist letter from Glenn himself. Who knows? In a world where the damned have to warm up for a band who owe their entire livelihood to them, anything is possible. Signing off, bitter and broke, TR. So definitely coming from a bitter place. And, I look at that fact as awesome, not as like a downer, that the damned are opening up for a band that opened up for them. Let's see. In the grand pantheon of American punk bands, the image projected by the Misfits looms heavy and large over their peers. Formed during the late 70s and working from the cultural bubble of Lodi, New Jersey, the band stitched together a truly matchless concept. Ooh, I like that. Matchless concept. A dark and twisted celebration of American culture composed from an admiration for low-budget horror and sci-fi fiction flicks. The production skills of music business pariah Phil Spector, the deep state tragedies from the nation's past with some of the imported theatrics of David Bowie thrown in for good measure. This guy is a great writer. Self-releasing records on their own Plan 9 imprint put them in the unique position of controlling their image and connecting one-on-one with their fan base. This guy's right on the money. Hold up in vocalist Glenn Danzig's basement apartment. The group beamed out rumors about themselves recording in abandoned haunted houses and sleeping in coffins to create an air of intrigue and mystery the deep pockets of major labels couldn't begin to conjure up. After their initial breakup in 1983, the mystique about the band pushed further. Whether it was merely the masses finally catching up to their genius or the fact that Metallica covered their tunes, it was obvious that the Misfits would follow the lineage of the Stooges, Big Star, and other seminal bands before them. In the late 90s, founding member and bassist Jerry Only, Kenny's brother, along with his blood brother and guitarist for the band Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein, Kenny's other brother, began touring and recording with a revolving door lineup of the band, which sometimes took in a stray Misfits member here and there, as well as former members of the Ramones and Black Flag. But it wasn't until 2016 when it was announced that they would reunite with vocalist Glenn Danzig to play Chicago's Riot Fest, that the fans felt that they were getting the real deal. Since then, the band has packed arenas with fans ranging in age, all wishing to witness this band, which captured their imagination throughout all these different pockets in time. Excellent. Excellent. Love it. Love it. That's great. Mike says he's in the book. Mike Landerman, where are you in the book? What page can we find you, Mike? I don't know. I only have the first half of the book with me right now. Aside from the recent live shows, another element that can assist in getting a grip on the Misfits history is the recently published photo book, Teenagers from Mars, The Misfits Among Us, 1978 to 2006. The tomb bookends two important eras of the band as captured by the younger brother of Jerry and Doyle. That's inaccurate. Kenny is the middle brother. Jerry is the oldest, then Kenny, then Doyle, and longtime band manager Ken Caiafa, as well as renowned rock photographer Frank White. Caiafa's photos showcase the band in their formative stages, lurking in and around their hometown, plus their first trips into New York City to play legendary venues such as Max's Kansas City and Irving Plaza, while Frank's images begin at the much publicized and anticipated Jerry and Doyle launched comeback in 1996. You know what is interesting? I like using that word comeback. Come back and bite my face. I really like using that word instead of calling it a reunion, or resurrection is good too, but comeback makes a lot more sense to me in sort of like understanding what Jerry is really trying to do with that name. I like that a lot. Comeback. Like many others who earned their bones in the punk scene, Ken Caiafa learned his talents for photography and management at the spur of the moment. I was the only one there to help the band out, so I did what I could. He says about the dual role he played for the Misfits in those early years. I was not a trained photographer, but I had a camera and I knew how to work it. My goal was just to try and get some usable pictures. It was focus, adjust for light, and fire. I was just trying to tie together our love for horror, sci-fi, and all things macabre. Ken states matter-of-factly. Ken likes to talk matter-of-factly, and it's a charming quality when you hear him speak. He's a very good storyteller, and he's very, very detail-oriented. Ken states matter-of-factly before quickly throwing in and hard-hitting music, of course. And something else that you may not know, sometimes Kenny would practice with his brothers. So when Glenn and, whoever the drummer was at the time weren't around, Jerry and Doyle would have Rocky jump behind the drums and just hold a simple beat. He wasn't a drummer by any stretch of the imagination, but he would hold, a blast beat for them, whatever, not blast beat, whatever, 2/4, 4/4, whatever it is that they would do. And just keep a beat for them while they're playing. Caiafa's photos provide a window into the development of the Misfits aesthetic we never had prior to the publication of the book, as we witness them futz with and eventually develop their ghoulish aesthetic over time. That's true. You see the gradual change. Ken proves himself with these photos to be the unsung element in the Misfits' everlasting lure. When the photos by Caiafa give insight to the evolution of the Misfits, Frank White's show Jerry and Doyle building upon the already proven framework of the band's style. Although a fan of the band from early on, Frank did not get a chance to photograph them until 1995 at a horror convention in Syracuse, New Jersey, probably Chiller Theater, I would imagine. As I entered, Jerry, Doyle, and Ken were the first people I ran into, recalls White. They had a very impressive horror-themed setup in the hallway of the hotel, and you could not miss them. I remember thinking about how I would finally get my chance to meet and photograph them after wanting to since their heydays. Impressed that Frank got some photos from the day of Jerry and Doyle flanking well-known horror queen and Hundreds collaborator Elvira into the pages of Thrasher, Ken Caiafa made him the official photographer for the revamped lineup of the band, a title that he held until 2006. So Frank also, Frank would be great to get for this show. Frank also was just, he saw a lot, at least in the later years. The concept for the Teenagers from Mars book began when the announcement was made a few years back about the reunion of the original lineup, and White was approached by the UK-based Metal Hammer magazine for photos of the Misfits' nascent days. Although he could not provide these needed shots, he helped them out in their quest by making a few phone calls. Early Misfits guitarist Bobby Steele recalled to Frank how Ken Caiafa took a good amount of photos of the band back in the day. Ken never told me what I was when I was working with the band for all those years that he ever photographed his brother's band, said a stunned White. A few days later, Ken met Frank at an undisclosed location holding a small black briefcase. He opens it up, and out come these envelopes with the time period being from 1978 to 1981. It was a state of shock, and all of a sudden, ideas were swirling inside of my head. I said to Ken, not only do we have enough photos here for Metal Hammer Story, but we have enough for a book between his photos and my photos. Working quickly, Ken reached out to Ian Christie over at Bazillion Points Publishing, who leaped at the opportunity of releasing a book crammed with photos from the two most important historic eras of this much storied band. Now out and ready for consumption, Teenagers from Mars will not only please fans due to its exclusive imagery, but the detailed recounts from both Caiafa and White on their time spent with the band at both these important stages in their career. Even though the combination of words and imagery in Teenagers from Mars plainly lays out the reasons behind the Misfits' legacy and why it transcended the underground to continuously inspire and inform pop culture, I still ask both Frank and Ken their take on why the band still managed to retain and collect such rabid fans into the present day. I think it's a combination of their horror look, the kind of music they played, and their time not on the stage with original members for many years. Well, that's weird. Hold on. What? I think it's the combination of their horror look, the kind of music they play, and their time not on stage with original members for many years brings out the masses to their sold-out arena shows now, White responds. Caiafa, who seems to have a knack for being strikingly direct with his statements, boils it down to the painfully obvious. It's great imagery and great songs. It's hard to beat. Nobody does it better than them. And that is it. And you can show your support of Sandpaper Lullaby by becoming a member over on their Patreon, where you will get bonus content. Again, that was by Tony. And that's on retman.substack.com. And here we'll put the link to the article in case you want to go back and read it yourself right there. Once again, I will tell you, if it is your first time joining us, please take a moment, and you can support this channel by subscribing, liking this video, or leaving a comment of some kind. Many different ways to support the creation of this work. Before we launch into the meat, we gotta talk about Dagger. Dagger doesn't care about Misfits without Danzig. He accepts no substitutes. We got to talk about stickers for a minute. In case you don't know, this channel, the Frumess channel, is powered by riotstickers.com. As you can see right here, we're running a special promotional deal on stickers. It's a really nice deal for your band. See this right here. It's normally $59, but you can get it 50% off, $29.50, 50 3-inch by 3-inch stickers. That is a really good deal for $29.50. That's 50% off. 9 square inches of real estate for you to imprint whatever logo or thing you want somewhere. And you can get that 50% off with the promo code Frumess, the name of the channel, Frumess, Frumess. The direct link is down in the description. I have worked with Riot Stickers in the past. They are an incredible company, independent, lots of heart, personable. I know a lot of people that have also, a lot of musicians that work with riotstickers.com, zero complaints, stickers that actually stick, unlike their alleged competitors. Allegedly, those stickers don't stick very well. But at riotstickers.com, you're not going to have any problem with your sticky ass stickers. They all stick. That's what we want. And now here's a little theme song by the guy from Less Than Jake.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too. Posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. We can print on shirts. We can print on hats. We
We are the bomb. Love that. Love that. It's terrific. It's really terrific. Dun 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 dun. Who else is excited for that new Batman movie? I can't wait to talk about it. It is going to be really great. We'll be talking about that on the channel for sure. All right, here it is, you guys. Holy crap. Holy crap. Are you excited? I am excited. Here, let's make me smaller so we can see these photos better. Now, so what I'm working with here is this was something that was passed along to me. And I wonder if there's a way to make this full screen here. Don't know. I don't know. I don't think I can. Yeah, there we go. That's better, right? Okay, that's good. So here's that awesome cover, and there's your rat bat spider. Now this is one of Kenny's photos from when they were on tour in California for the first time. And there it is, the Misfits Among Us, 1978 to 19. Oh, is it not going to let me? Oh, we went too far ahead. No. Well, that's tough. This is not going to be easy, you guys. Whoa. Getting ahead of ourselves here. Uh-oh. We're running in. Oh, of course it wouldn't be the right. It wouldn't be a normal Frumess show if we didn't run into some sort of technical difficulties here. Okay. This is how we're going to have to do this. All right, we'll just move on down the line. So there's a photo of Jerry. And there is, I think that's Kenny as the Crimson Ghost. He used to play the Crimson Ghost on stage for the band. And I think Tank might have taken over. I'm very spotty on 95 Misfits history. It'll be nice to have Tank on the show to talk about that. Boom. And there's the band, 1978. Right after, probably, I don't know when these photos were taken. I think it was winter. Since they recorded Static Age in January of 78, I want to imagine that this was after Static Age that these photos were taken, but I don't actually know. And, this was around an industrial area around Lodi. Robbie, where I saw Robbie in the comments. Robbie, where was this taken exactly? Robbie knows best in these matters, being indigenous to the local area. And there are definitely, so I have seen there's way more photos than what are in this book, and I've seen some of them are inappropriate for the book, understandably so, and so they remain unreleased. There are some shots of Kenny's from Kenny's archive that if they ever got out, that it would just be meme central, and it would be havoc. Oh, that's interesting. That photo is used on 2 bootleg albums I have, and that's from Live February 9th. Not this photo here, not this Static Age photo. The photo on the top of the book is from February 1982. Huh. I always thought it was from 1981. I think it might be from 1981. That bootleg might be wrong. All right, so this is Arnott Street and Hackensack. Depends which photo. I believe that one's Arnott. So there you go. So this is actually in Hackensack. It's not in Lodi. Or I've always read the word Lodi, but I never actually said the word Lodi, I think, out loud until the year 2010. And before that, I would call it Lodi. I didn't know. Lodi. Hey, you come from Lodi? There's another shot. Great shot. I love Jerry's look here. I love Jerry's look. I like all their looks here. Friggin' Jerry though, man, he's wearing the Teenagers From Mars shirt, and you can see his pants are unzippered in this photo right here. That's interesting. I don't know if I can is it gonna let me? No. That's annoying. Ooh. Hey now, hey now. There we go. And it says it's showing you all the different photos. So that is Ken as the Crimson Ghost. It says it right here. Guys, I'm sorry. The stuff that I'm working for is giving me problems. Yeah, that's Ken as the Crimson Ghost. I was right. Yeah, I don't know why Jerry's pants are unbuckled, but okay. Robbie says that this photo here is from Hackensack for sure. And yeah, they just look like a bunch of creeps, cool punk creeps. What's up? Big shout out to AS. I can't say why, but he is awesome and a very helpful guy. And a big shout out to AS. Great dude. Thank you for everything, AS, and enjoy your work tonight. So this is to all the monster kids. I love that. And you can see Jerry's wearing a chain with a lock around his neck here, and he's got his hair is starting to turn blue. This is the great evolution of Jerry Only, you know. And there's Mr. Jim, who I have a feeling we'll be talking more about at a later time down the road. And you can see Glenn's shirt under here. I mean, this is cool to see their sort of fashion sense. Glenn's shirt, he's kind of got like some blood splatter underneath here. He just kind of looks like a normal Joe there, you know. Him, and you can tell Jim is not really into the horror thing at all, and he doesn't really fit in fashion wise in that kind of way. He's just a dude, you know, got the gig in the band, and you know, again, you know, the best drummer that they ever had, really. And Frank is wearing like two shirts. I just saw Frank back, I think it was in December. Yeah, no. Thanksgiving weekend. I actually saw Frank very recently. He was at the Morning Noise reunion show. And it was great because Robbie called Mr. Jim. And so Frank and Mr. Jim were chatting to each other on the phone. It was cool. And I was there, and Robbie Bloodshed was there. And I think, and Joe was there, Joe Vasta. And it was just like a fun little moment. Everybody just sort of talking. So there's Doyle, and this is obviously from Misfits 95. Look at him. Now, what's crazy is that, you know, here's a dude who like played at the, you know, at in the original punk era, or whatever you want to call it, and he was only 16 years old, and now he's not even 30 years old yet, I don't think. Right? Or maybe he just turned 31, like 30, 31, something like that, you know? And what's interesting is look at him here versus looking at him, you know, in the Doyle era in the 2010s. And he's just so much more like ripped now than he was when he was 31. It's almost like looking at him here, it still looks like kind of like a baby Doyle, you know? And then here's all the different photos here. And then we have some more photos. But now here's the thing, guys. We only have at the moment, and this is why this is going to be a multi-part episode, we only have the photos here in the first part, Ken's photos. We don't have Frank White's photos. So we will get Frank White's photos, and then we will move on as we will continue on there. But this is, yes, this was from 97, actually. So I don't know, Doyle's like 33 here, 32, something like that. He was born in 64, 94. I think he's about 33 there. So yeah, and there he is with this custom built Annihilator guitar. Okay, we're on page 7. 7. And there's Ken. Look at him. He looks so young, dude. That's when they were out on that first tour, like super stoked. He told me they were just super stoked to be out there, and they didn't know if they were ever going to come back, you know. And you know, there they were. What's up? Rue Morg is in the house. Sup, Rue? And there's Jerry looks like he's up to no good. Jerry, I don't know why. Jerry does kind of have like a almost in this era, he's like kind of got like a Sid Vicious sort of vibe going on. He's got the chain link thing around his neck. He's kind of doing the spiky hair thing. And he just, I mean, always super fashion forward with his approach and fashion. I don't know. Kind of interesting. Okay, so I guess we're going to start now with, we're going to read Kenny's bit here, except I'm going to read it from somewhere else because it's too difficult to read on that screen. I can't see crap with these glasses on, and it's really frustrating. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it here. Find what we're looking for, kids. That's what we need. Gotta find what we're looking for. Are you just joining us for the first time? Please make sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, leave a comment. We'll go to comments afterwards. Here we go. I guess this will do. What is that? That is page 7. No, that's wrong. That is not page 7. Well, this is just photos. That's why. Well, that's annoying. Sorry, guys. I'm just taking up too much time here doing this when I should be a little bit more prepared than I am. Here it is. All right. All right. Here is what Ken wrote. It's his forward in the book. Why is this giving me so much trouble here? Let's quit out that. Sorry for the dead air. We hate dead air on this channel. Hate it so much. Terrible thing to have some dead air. Okay, here it is. Intermission over. In my family, monsters came before music. As little kids, my brothers Jerry and Doyle and I would wait all week for Saturday night to watch old horror movies on Channel 5, Creature Features, and Channel 11, Chiller Theater. We loved the old, low-budget black and white films like Attack of the Crab Monsters, The Crawling Eye, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and The Hideous Sun Demon. And of course, The Crawling Eye and The Hideous Sun Demon would be the subject for Jerry and Doyle when they tried to be they tried to be horror hosts, kind of like Elvira in 95. And you can see those on YouTube. We might have to take a look at those someday. They didn't seem cheesy to me as an 8-year-old in 1970. Once in a while, a real classic like Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy, or The Wolfman would slip through, and we would be happy for days. The three of us were artistically talented. We could draw well, sculpt, paint, and create all sorts of special things. We enjoyed building model kits, especially the Aurora Monster model kits. We saved our nickels and dimes until we had enough to run down to the local drugstore and buy a new kit. Then we'd run back home, glue it together, and paint it. We hoarded and pored over Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine. The cover artwork was amazing. I was awestruck by those lurid paintings by Basil Gogos, who later became a friend of mine. As children, we lived inside that world, drawing our own pictures of all sorts of monsters and alien creatures. Jerry, Doyle, and I were close in age, and we got along great. We liked the same things: monsters, football, and running around with neighborhood kids. Behind the suburban New Jersey house where we grew up was an apartment complex filled with kids our age. That same apartment complex is where Steve Zing grew up. Many of them have been lifelong friends, going back to my earliest childhood memories. I can't remember not knowing some of these guys. The two of us brothers, Doyle and I, grew up during the years of the large 12-inch G.I. Joes. We would pretend one was the Frankenstein monster, and we'd make the soldiers fight this unkillable foe. When Jerry saw what we were doing, he customized 3 G.I. Joes for us. He made one up as Frankenstein and turned one into a Wolfman and changed one into Dracula. That was too cool for us little monster kids. At Halloween, we always had to be some sort of creatures. Most of the time, my mother would make our costumes. First, she would ask what we would want to be, always something inspired by horror movies or comic books. Then she would find a pattern, buy the fabric, and then cut, sew, and create our costumes. I can remember myself being Godzilla and the creature from the Black Lagoon. Jerry was Dracula. Doyle was Batman. Mom liked to sew, and to this very day, she still sews portions of Jerry's Misfits stage clothes. Our parents listened to music from the 1950s and early 1960s. At the time, doo-wop music was only 10 or 15 years old. Our parents still were young themselves and in their early 30s. You can hear the influence from the music they played for us in some Misfit songs, with the sing-along background vocals and such, the whoa-whoa-whoas. And when the time came, my mother was absolutely 100% pro Misfits. She thought that they were the greatest thing. Whether they became the next big sensation filling stadiums or whether they failed, she didn't care. She'd say, go do it, try. In our teenage years, better movies appeared, like the Planet of the Apes series and Star Wars. We also discovered our own kind of music, like Led Zeppelin, yes, Bowie, and Queen. Of all these fantastic bands, I think that David Bowie had the most influence on my brother, Jerry. His songs were great, but we especially liked his theatrics. When he's saying his songs, talking about Bowie's songs were great, but we especially liked his theatrics. Bowie invented personas, and he would completely become those characters. That's pretty much Jerry did with the Misfits. He created a character with a recognizable devil lock who dresses in black with spikes and darkened eyes. As David Bowie inspired so many others, he also inspired the Misfits. I think of the Misfits as the grandchild of David Bowie and the creature from the Black Lagoon. As Jerry got more, I would throw in the Doors there too. Let's throw the Doors in there, and I don't know, doo-wop in general, and Ramones. And I think there you have it all put together. As Jerry got more into contemporary music, he wanted to learn how to play the bass. He asked for a bass guitar for Christmas, and if I remember correctly, he got his white Rickenbacker. Next, he needed to learn how to play. So he started taking lessons from a man named John Senix. Everybody liked John. He was a nice guy. He would come over to the house, and they would sit by the pool or in the basement, and John would teach Jerry scales and songs. Then Jerry would go off alone and practice. I remember him playing Yes songs like Roundabout that had a lot of bass, a perfect song for a starting bassist to exercise his talent. Soon, Jerry began to bring over the other people who were playing instruments, drummers, guitar players, and other bassists and singers, and they would play songs that were popular on the radio. One of those guys was Glenn Danzig. Glenn played keyboards and sang. Of all the guys that were coming over and playing, Glenn was the only one that seemed serious about forming a band. The others were only trying to have fun, like it was a hobby for them. But Glenn and Jerry were serious about what they were doing. Before long, Jerry and Glenn were working on original songs. Punk rock was just beginning, and they were getting started. That is a very interesting perspective on how the Misfits started, I must say. At the beginning, Jerry and Glenn's band was kind of primitive. The Misfits persona wasn't there yet, and the songs weren't even about horror movies. But they were both so into horror and science fiction, and they shared that desire to become larger than life characters. So it was only natural that these two would quickly gravitate towards creating the famous Misfits persona and mystique. Now, on that, 100%, yes, totally. And you know, I will say this, and it's the honest truth, man. It took me a long time to realize this, truthfully, long ass time to realize this. But at the end of the day, the reason why, no matter how much we enjoy, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, no matter how much we enjoy Jerry and Danzig and Doyle doing Misfit sets, there was something missing from that chemistry, that mixture. It was Jerry, dude. You need Jerry to complete the sound. And it's not his vacuum cleaner guitar stuff. It's the friggin' backing vocals, dude. Like, it's just him. It's him up there sort of, doing his thing, completing that visual look between Jerry and Doyle and filling in Glenn's vocals with his singing. And he's had all these years now of vocal training. And so when you see the Misfits reunited and live, it's great. It's better than it ever was. They sound better than they ever did. And, it's great. But you have to, at the end of the day, as much as Glenn might've been the mastermind, Jerry absolutely added to the Misfits persona. I mean, with his style and his look and the devil lock, he is absolutely, he absolutely deserves credit where credit is due in that kind of way. It's just interesting how the history is being framed here. I guess I can understand from this is my first time ever reading this. I've never read this before. The Misfits first played with a local drummer named Manny Martinez. I was still quite young and never saw them live. I guess this is real. At the end of the day, that's how we need to look at this. This is from Rocky's perspective. Rocky's point of view is that, he was just there and Jerry got a bass, and then all of a sudden Glenn is coming over and they're starting a band together and not any which way around. This is being told exactly from Rocky's point of view. Now it makes sense to me. I wasn't really understanding why everything kind of seems a little, now I totally get it. Totally get it. This makes sense. The Misfits first played with a local drummer named Manny Martinez. I was still quite young and never saw them live, but I recalled them playing a few small shows here and there. Of course, they were always playing right in front of me, around my house, in the garage, out in the backyard, or down in the basement. The band was initially a three-piece: Jerry on bass, Manny on drums, and Glenn on keyboards and singing. They recorded the Cough Cool She record just like that as a trio. In the fall of 1977, Franche Coma joined on guitar. That addition brought Glenn out from behind the keyboard and put him front and center. Then, at the end of the year, Mr. Jim became the drummer, and the band started doing more sophisticated songs like Theme for a Jackal, Come Back, and Hollywood Babylon. Even as a young kid, I could see that these guys had some really cool original songs. They were good. They had something. Glenn's voice was rich, strong, and manly. He didn't sing like a little girl, like singers in lots of other bands at that time. The Misfits started booking shows with the new lineup, playing new songs. By then, I was old enough to tag along and to assist. And this is being totally told from Rocky's perspective. I get it. I really get it. As he should. That's how he should tell it. I get it. I would bring, got confused here. By then, I was old enough to tag along and to assist with setting up and doing whatever I could to help. I would bring my 35 millimeter Pentax camera and take photos. I found what they were doing fun and interesting. My neighbor across the street taught me how to focus and adjust the light meter. I had a dial on top of the camera to set the film speed. Inside the viewfinder were waving lollipop and needle-like thing. I learned how to move the lollipop to the center of the needle, focus, and click, and that was it. It's amazing. When you're shooting photos manually, like, you really do need to know. He's making it sound so easy, but it's not, man. That's tough, especially in like concert lighting conditions and people moshing. I mean, when you look at guys like, Rocky taking photos, or Eerie Von taking photos, he talks about having to anticipate where the band is going to be and not trying to, focus on where people currently are. I don't know. Most of the places that the band would play were so small So getting into position for a good shot was difficult. He was talking about it right now. After we loaded into the venue and set up the gear, I would scope out the venue. I tried to have at least 3 good locations in order to bring. Here, I got to switch the. Sorry. All right. So I've been reading ahead. Here we go. Real quick. So that's the next page. And you can see here's some more shots of the band. And there's Jerry in his sort of like Letterman sweater that says Teenagers from Mars. And you can see, we can actually kind of read what is on his jacket. What is on Frank's jacket? It says, "Stop all this punk stuff." That's what it says. Stop all this punk stuff. That's what's on his jacket. He's wearing 2 jackets. And yeah, I don't know. They definitely look like a band. And I love I love all the red in there, which reminds me of Static Age. I think about the Misfits in terms of colors, surprisingly enough. I guess that kind of makes sense. When I think about horror business, I think about red. I think about yellow and black. And when I think about Static Age, I think about, black and white and red. And when I think about like Walk Among Us, I think about like, pink. And when I think about Earth AD, I think about, purple and green, one of my favorite color schemes in the whole world, purple and green. When I think about 3 Hits from Hell, black and red, that kind of thing. Just all like kind of like weird, like interesting pop art dynamics, that kind of thing. Here's where we are on that page, by the way. Where was I? Where was I? So he's saying I would always scope out the venue. I tried to have at least 3 good locations in order to what, Ken? In order to what? In order to home my goal of at least 1 good picture of each guy plus a few full band shots. So that's his goal. Every time he goes to shoot, it's like, let me get 1 good picture of each guy and a few full band shots. And I mean, that is worth its bread. It's worth its bread and butter, right? Like, you need to have pictures of your band. If you're in a band and you need, a constant stream of fresh images to sort of promote yourself, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. By the way, I see we have a lot of people watching. If it is your first time on this channel, please make sure to like, share, and most of all, subscribe to the channel. We do this all the time. We're going live almost every day. We talk about the Misfits often, lots of different clips of previous shows. If you don't feel like digging, we've been doing this for 2 years now. So make sure you check all that stuff out. But you need a constant stream of photos. If you're, going to be taking photos, if you're promoting your band. I needed to take 40 or so photos to get 1 really good one. Think about that ratio, a 40-to-1 ratio for a good shot. There was no such thing as a digital camera. I used film, and it was expensive. The film itself, the development, and the printing were substantial costs. So you got to pay for the film. You got to pay for the development of the film, and you got to print that developed film as well. I mean, a lot goes into it, man. We're so spoiled with our digital cameras today. I was just a kid in school. I had no job. For money, I would go to our dad's work on Saturday mornings and sweep the place for $20. And when he's saying his dad's work, I think they're talking about the Pro Edge factory. I don't know what. I know he used to make parts for NASA, Jerry's dad, Jerry Sr. So there's 3 Jerrys, as far as I know. There's Jerry Sr., there's Jerry, and then there's Jerry Jr. There might be more Jerrys. Maybe Jerry's dad was also a Jerry. I don't know. Like, what isn't it interesting though to think like that? That's like those are interesting lineages when you have someone's like, it's like not only am I like, it's like father son, but we're all gonna like have the same name too. It's like a continuation of the name, literally. It's really interesting when you think about that. We don't have that tradition in our culture. In my culture, from where I'm from, it's not. You're not allowed to name yourself after, what is it? You're not allowed to name yourself after someone else who's alive. That's what it is. It's against the rules or something. So in any case, yeah, he would sweep the place for $20. Like when when we were kids, when we were kids buying model kits, I would scrape up loose change at home to get my shots developed and printed. I remember waiting up to a month to be able to afford to develop my film and see how the photos turned out. And the results were usually a grave disappointment. As the band progressed, I became more involved in helping wherever needed. We built all sorts of stage props together, printed t-shirts. I mean, he saw it all, dude, and stamped buttons. We converted our family garage into a rehearsal studio with a stage, a drum riser, and a lighting rig. We started working on a recording facility to make demos, but before we finished, my parents moved to Vernon, New Jersey. When the Misfits were ready to tour for the first time, they pronounced me tour manager. That sounded like a big, important deal, but at the time, it really wasn't. Don't get me wrong, I was proud that they felt that I was responsible and together, but the tour manager of a beginning band mostly drives 10 hours a day, loads equipment into clubs, helps set up the gear, arranges for lunch, runs to whatever stores open for last minute needs, sells the t-shirts, loads out the equipment late that night, then collects whatever usually amounts to barely enough money to make it to the next town. At the start of 1978, the lineup with Franche Coma and Mr. Jim recorded the Static Age album. From what I remember, Jerry and Glenn put a lot of effort into getting those recordings released by a record label, but nobody anywhere, nobody would accept it. Glenn went all over the place to get this thing signed and released, but it just never happened. So that summer, they released the Bullet single themselves from the recording sessions. In late 1978, Bobby Steele replaced Franche Coma on guitar and Joey Image replaced Mr. Jim on drums. The new lineup recorded a few singles like Halloween and Night of the Living Dead. Well, it's not Halloween. Halloween was recorded with Googie and Doyle and maybe there's a guitar track or two from Bobby Steele, but that's, we don't even know if that's Night of the Living Dead features the Horror Business lineup. From then on, the band's songs featured predominantly horror themes. Likewise, Jerry started to refine the Misfits image. He decided that his bass was too bland looking for his new persona. I recalled him hunching over his perfect white Rickenbacker with a Sharpie marker. He drew a custom design like dragon or bat wings, then took a jigsaw and cut the bass following his sketches. He beveled the edges with a handheld belt sander, and after a few finishing touches from a rattle can of black spray paint, his bass matched his image, unique and looked crazy cool. Later, he created a headpiece for the bass and attached a skull that made it look like some kind of Voodoo King's totem pole. Yeah, I did love that skull. It used to dangle for a while, and then he finally fixed it on top. And then it would evolve when he did like the Devastator bass guitar had a thingamabob, a thing or other. Apart from the imagery and the unique look, what I love most about the Misfits is the subject matter: horror and science fiction movies. Other bands have spooky themes, but Misfits songs are all about actual movies such as The Fly, Astro Zombies, and Horror Hotel. When I listen to these songs, I picture the movies playing out in my head. I see the zombies biting someone, or I imagine Vampira herself. I can picture all the events and creepy settings of the movies. For me, the strong visual association makes the magic of the Misfits and sets them apart from everyone else. Then, in late 1980, my brother Doyle joined the Misfits on guitar. Arthur Googie had just joined on drums a few years earlier. Doyle and I were still in high school. We both played on the football team. I have a great photo taken by Erie Vaughn of Doyle and me simultaneously from opposite sides, sacking the quarterback of the other team. In fact, Doyle, Erie, ... Here, let me fix this. Oh, yeah. You'll be able to see in 1 second. Here we go. Love the shot of Glenn He looks like, I don't know, looks like something you would see in a still from high school. Yeah, see, it is winter. So it's, I mean, those photos of the guys that we're looking at, these static age photos, you would imagine, I mean, maybe they were taken in either they were either taken in January or February or March of 1978, right? So where was I with what Rocky was saying? Schlock, Kenny. In fact, Doyle, Erie, Vaughn from Samhain and Danzig, Steve Zing from Samhain, and future Misfits drummer Dr. Chud and I were all in school at the same time. It's kind of funny. We were a regular bunch of miscreants, all the regular kids, although Dr. Chud never hung out with him. Dr. Chud was like a popular sort of like jock kind of guy who used to make fun. He used to play in like a new wave band. And he used to make fun of punk rock and stuff. It wasn't until 95 when he started as the Christ the Conqueror drummer. And then he joined the rest of the guys to play in the comeback Misfits. And so in any case, we were a regular bunch of miscreants. All the regular kids would look at us like we were nuts because we would have colored hair and be wearing bizarre clothes. Today, we would be the norm. So true. Isn't that crazy to think? I mean, back then, it really was, you really were an outcast. I mean, today, counterculture and alternative culture and underground culture are so normal and so mainstream now that you wouldn't even blink an eye. You would just go, oh yeah, that's just what that person is into, and go about your business. The Misfits still rehearsed in our garage. Steve Zing would come by and listen to the practices. He lived at the end of our block. So Steve would get up on that same apartment complex, and he would just listen out on his rooftop, listening to the band. He was a very polite kid. He'd sit outside the garage and just listen. He never asked to come inside to watch. Sometimes the drummer couldn't make rehearsals, and I would fill in. There you go. There's Rocky filling in. I couldn't play drums very well, but I could keep a beat long enough to make it through a Misfits song. Most of them are very short, after all. Isn't that interesting? So let's say that Glenn was there. It would be Glenn backed by all three Caiafa brothers. At least I knew. It's funny why they never taught him to play the drums. Like, if he's already doing that, you would think like, hey, Kenny, let's just get you on the kit. And then here we have an instant band. You know what I mean? Like, it just makes so much sense. At least I knew where the cymbal crashes were. Still, I'm glad Steve didn't come inside during those sessions. As the band grew more popular, the shows started to getting larger, and the songs kept improving. The operation was going national. Our tours ventured farther away from home. After recording enough new songs for an album, Glenn set up a tour that would go all the way to the West Coast. My brothers and I had never been to California. The idea was for us to start in San Francisco and work our way down to Los Angeles, where we would meet up with a record company and attempt to close a deal to release the Misfits album, Walk Among Us. We landed in San Francisco, rented a van, and found a hotel room on the same street as the venue, the On Broadway. Directly beneath the club was another venue called the Mabuhay Gardens. And when we were dismayed to learn that Black Flag happened to be playing there that night. That's when Black Flag first met the Misfits. That's when Henry jumped on stage to sing We Are 138. That was on Evilive. Us playing upstairs, them downstairs. We thought that was a big mistake. Instead of either band having a big turnout, we would end up splitting the crowd, and we both have mediocre crowds. The guys in Black Flag, Chuck Dukowski, Greg Ginn, Henry Rollins, Des Cadena, and Robo, came upstairs to hear our sound check. They knew our songs, but had never seen us, and they sat in a row of chairs right in front of the stage. We didn't know who they were either. We only knew Black Flag songs. After the first song, they applauded and introduced themselves, the beginning of a lifelong brotherhood. Henry was one of the first of probably millions to get a Misfits tattoo. Dez and Robo both later played in the Misfits. That trip to California turned out to be a pivotal pivotal tour. The California punk scene was a little different than back east. The punks there wore fewer leather jackets and spikes, more wife beaters. We saw less spiky colored hair and more shaved heads. Not as many engineer boots, more kids in Doc Martens. We made a lot of good connections. We met new friends and future band members. And best of all, Jerry and Glenn were successful in getting Walk Among Us released through Ruby Records, a division of Slash Records. And they did that with Chris D from the Flesh Eaters. Glenn flew back out there. They remixed the whole album before it was going to be on Plan 9. And that's the Plan 9 version of Walk Among Us that has American Nightmare on it without the live version of Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight. That Misfits lineup with Googie did several small tours around the Midwest and the Northeast and the Southeast. Things were going well, and the band's popularity was growing. I was still the driver, roadie, tour manager, merchandise guy, and band photographer. We all worked hard. Believe me, these guys earned what they have. During our travels, we made friends with other bands, including Black Flag, the Necros, and the Meatmen. The Necros and the Misfits, they did so many shows together. When these bands would tour through the New York area, we would invite them to stay at our house. The bands would show up a day or two early, and we would barbecue, go swimming in the pool, and play basketball before they'd packed up and go into the city to do their show. If we didn't go with them, we'd be ready at 3 a.m. to meet them with food, towels for showers, and blankets and pillows. It was a really great time for us and our generation in the punk scene. Isn't that beautiful, man? It really is, like the camaraderie of and the hospitality, and it still does exist. In my very small amount of touring that I got to do with a punk band, I definitely got to experience that generosity and camaraderie, and it really is a beautiful thing. And it extends past just like music and like being like a traveling musician and traveling artist. And it really just sort of extends to the idea of just being a traveler. And that if you're traveling in a place that's unknown to you, that, the measure of a person of the place you're visiting is by the hospitality of strangers and how they treat you. And it's just really nice. I love reading stuff like this. In 1982, Robo joined the Misfits. On the way home from a Black Flag tour of Europe, Robo, being from Colombia and not having a U.S. passport, was denied re-entry to the States. He was stuck in England for a while before he was permitted to leave. And then, ... Give me 1 second while I go to the next page here. Just loading it up. There we go. Here, this is the final page. He was stuck in England for a while before he was permitted to leave. And then, here it is. Sorry. Then he was only allowed to go to Colombia. By the time Robo got back to Los Angeles, Black Flag had already had a new drummer. So Chuck Dukowski called Glenn and asked if the Misfits wanted Robo. I did not know that. That I did not know. Chuck Dukowski called Glenn. Well, at least that's according to Kenny. Although I don't know. I really don't know how Robo joined the band. I guess that's, Chuck is looking out for Robo. And then of course we all know what happened. Go see that Ugly Things episode we did to hear all about how Glenn and Robo living together at Glenn's house. Really, really funny. Glenn did want Robo, so Robo flew out to be our new drummer. Glenn and I picked him up at Newark Airport. He stayed at Glenn's house for a long time. Then he lived with us, and eventually he went to work at Pro Edge, and for Jerry and Doyle's dad as well. All the way, even after the band broke up, Jerry, Robo, and Doyle, they were all working at the factory up in Vernon. The new, more aggressive Misfits wrote the songs that became Earth AD. When touring resumed, the shows were packed. The band's records were selling. The venues were paying more. The t-shirt sales were booming. Everything was headed in the right direction. Earth AD was recorded in Los Angeles while the Misfits were on tour. A friend of Robo's offered us time for free or close to nothing in the studio I think she owned. Excuse me. Supposedly, the studio had been used by the Beach Boys or the Mamas and the Papas, one of the big-time 1960s California bands. I slept on the floor under the mixing board when I slept at all. We worked nonstop during the brief time we had there. Unfortunately, one of the Earth AD shows marked the end of my Misfits photography. After a show in New Orleans, a group of fans told us about an old graveyard with above ground crypts. At about 3 a.m., we went to check it out, followed shortly by the police, who arrested most of us. A few hours later, I was done sorting out the bail and red tape, and we returned to our tour van, which thankfully was still out on the street where we had left it. To our relief, the van was all locked up, windows up and doors shut. However, it was facing in the other direction. We soon realized that all of our valuables were missing, including my Pentax camera and undeveloped film from the tour. We think the New Orleans police stole our belongings. The cops had taken the keys from Robo. The van was turned around, so obviously our keys were used. A street criminal would not have bothered to lock everything back up. Rocky was the only one who wasn't arrested that night. He had all the money from the show. That's how he was able to bail all those guys out. And of course, they played a joke on Robo and told him they ran out of bail money. My tour photography ended right there, and none of my Robo and Earth AD era pictures survived. That's such a crime. You know what? I want to believe somewhere out there those rolls of film remain undeveloped. The cops that stole that film, they left it in some box, and it's in some cardboard box in a basement. You know, they're retired now. Maybe they've died. You know, the kids are, took, dad's belongings and put them up in the attic somewhere. Somehow they're going to unearth those Robo Earth AD photos, and we will get to see them. I wasn't a great photographer, but my photographs ended up on a lot of records. Most importantly, the Misfits Walk Among Us. Almost all these photos inside the jacket came from me, this rank amateur. I simply did what I could. I put the lollipop on the needle, focused the camera, aimed, and shot. The first period of the Misfits was fun, but it was a struggle. There were a little more than a garage band. This is interesting too, to hear him being around for the second wave, as well as being around for the original band, and how he kind of views everything. And again, I was a little kind of like hemming and hawing at the beginning, because I'm going, that's not how the Misfits began. Like my nerd was coming out. Hey, actually, that's not, the guy who was friggin' there. But again, like, this is all from his perspective, so it's interesting how, and even when I was interviewing him, there were times where, and I don't blame the guy. It's like, that all that stuff had happened 30 years ago. And, memories, spending doing so many shows with both bands, it's hard to sort of, pull memories apart and kind of recall this versus that, especially when you have, somebody asking you incredibly detailed questions. So it's interesting how he uses the first period of the Misfits was fun, but it was a struggle. They were a little more than a garage band. The honesty of the first incarnation came from what we did in our garage. I love that line. The honesty of the first incarnation came from what we did in our garage, and putting it on stage in front of people. That's how punk rock worked. Oh my God, that's beautiful. The honesty of the first incarnation came from what we did in our garage and putting it on stage in front of people. That's beautiful, man. That was how punk rock worked. We had big imaginations, but even so, we never imagined that what we did, but even so, we never imagined that what we and our friends were doing would become something permanent. The music industry was completely against us, and we didn't see how that could change with time. Regardless, we had fun, and I am thankful and grateful that I could be a part of that. Most of all, I'm proud. We all did all right for a bunch of guys from New Jersey. So did our friends in Ohio, California, and elsewhere. The Misfits are everywhere now. The songs are classics, and their reunion concerts are massively attended by tens of thousands of people all over. I see skeleton finger gloves, tattoos, shirts, even Misfit shoes walking among us. The band has also paid back its big screen the band has also paid back its big screen influence in a way. If you watch any sort of horror movie today, chances are that you'll see a Misfits skull appear on screen. Misfits fans love to, and I'll tell you, I'll be watching something on Netflix, I'll be watching something anywhere. I'll go, someone's going to snap a photo of that and post it somewhere. And it always happens, man, because this fandom, we get so excited when we see, oh, look, it's a Crimson Skull. It's a Crimson Skull. What? That's so cool. Like that kind of thing. If you want, one winter I went skiing, and while gliding down the mountain, someone came zooming by me wearing Misfits ski clothes. The band, that was definitely a Jerry Only product. The band definitely became something cool. My brothers and Glenn are world famous all the way from New York to Australia and background. You hear that, Robbie? From New York to Australia, not from New Jersey to Australia. All you guys from New York, Joe Truck, Steve Zing, all you guys, you hear that? New York to Australia, not New Jersey, and back around. To reach any farther, you would have to go to the moon or travel all the way back to Mars. That is, Kenny, that is beautiful, man. That is so pretty. What a beautifully that is an eloquent friggin' thing. I see. Wow, we have a lot of people here. It's so great. I'm so happy that there are so many people here to talk with us. And I just want to say, if it's your first time here, please take a moment to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. Buy a cup of coffee if you feel like it. If you're feeling froggy, anything helps. Check out the Patreon. We do a lot of Patreon content. If you want to see clips from my interviews with Kenny, outtakes of my clips that will probably never make it into the project I'm working on, you got to check out the Patreon. Go and sign up. Watch all the videos. More coming. Love from Chile. I like that. That's his perspective. That's his perspective. Everyone else, it's Joyzy. That's not from the brother of the band. It's not. Actually, I'm sure if we said, "Hey, Kenny, are the Misfits a New Jersey band?" He'd be like, "Yeah, they are." So, hey, we got somebody in the UK here. 3:13 a.m. Beautiful. I love that. I'm sure there's so many comments in here, you guys. I'm so sorry. I've been I've done a good job though. I stayed focused, guys. I stayed focused. I didn't deviate. The comments are what get us into trouble, with our programming. Some shows are for, socializing, and some shows are for, studying the academia of the literature, whatever. Let's continue, shall we? We're gonna keep going here. On to the next picture. Boom. Well, let's take a look at some of these pictures. And like I said, this is a part one here. We will be back for a part two because we can't get through everything. So here's another photo, slightly out of focus. They're drinking, I don't know if they drinking Red Stripe or something. I can't really read what's on Glenn's shirt. It looks like it says help, maybe. I don't know. I love studying their clothes, though. It's so, people obsess over Kiss's outfits, like all the different eras of Kiss and stuff. But I don't know. It's just really kind of cool to kind of look at all the different eras of the Misfits. I mean, in these 7 years alone, they changed so much in appearance, just like the Beatles did, just like Kiss did. Who stayed the same, really, is the Ramones, right? For the most part. All right, so look at this is such a funny photo shoot. Here is Jerry. These are home photos in Lodi. So this is this is on Grove Street where Jerry's house was. The birth of a Misfit and the Devil's Lock. Late 1978. As evident from these photos, Jerry was the first to grow the Devil's Lock. It started as a widow's peak and it grew out into the unique hair associated with the band. Nobody had done that before. And you'll notice, it's funny. Look at how, like, you could very much see, look, in this photo up here, he's got spiky hair. And then this photo here, he can also comb it into a widow's peak the way he does. And he's trying to make the Superman-esque curl, and he just gets longer and longer and longer. And just a really great sort of thing. Here's the thing about Glenn. I'm sure if you asked Glenn, hey, Glenn, are the Misfits a New York band? He would say they're from New Jersey. And if you said, hey, Glenn, are the Misfits a New Jersey band? He'd say they're from New York. They're more of a New York band. He would say whatever the opposite of what you asked him. What else is interesting to notice about these photos? See here, this is a very Sid Vicious photo of Jerry, right? Like that's him really doing the Sid Vicious kind of thing. What I always found interesting about Jerry, talking about incorporating like the look or the life, taking from your real life and incorporating it here. Ace here says the Dave Vanian influence is pretty apparent in these pics. I was also going to say, like, where does this come from? The face paint. It comes from Jerry was a football player, and he used to. That's what you do when you're a football player. And he's like, hey, this would go really great with my ghoul rock look. So I'm going to incorporate the fact that I used to be a football player into my aesthetic. That's really cool. That's pretty cool when you think about it. All right, let's move on here. Some more shots. And what's funny is that you just imagine, I guess this is actually, this is what's his face taking a picture of, these are all Kenny's photos taking pictures of his brother. I always thought these photos were on a timer, actually. But it's just funny how many, just the constant photos. Jerry just feels like doing a photo shoot in his house, just taking photos with his brother, forcing his brother to shoot. I like this one, the vampire one right here down below is cool. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, Amy, you're right. Switching from blue makeup to black makeup. Exactly. And, yeah. Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Feed the needy. But yeah, look at all these different looks. Some of these are really goofy. But what you really see here is you see a guy who's constantly trying to redefine his look and, trying to figure out what his look is going to be, right? In some ways, he just keeps trying stuff. Hey, I'm going to play dress up and try out some stuff and see what sticks and what doesn't, that kind of thing. Here we go. There's another iconic photo of the band that we've seen time and again, many times over. And I love that Frank is wearing a tuxedo jacket that's sleeveless. And I never noticed that Mr. Jim has black electrical tape over whatever the logo was on his shirt. I wonder if that was forced upon him, or if this is. But they look like a gang right there. This was in the garage. I didn't realize that. So this was in the Caiafa family garage. I never knew that. How about that? So that's also hey, let's get together, Grove Street, take some band photos. Let's see what's next. It's coming. There we go. There's another one, another couple. And Glenn has that. Glenn wrote Glenn Danzig on the back of his jacket there. Yeah, this is an interesting look. See, Jerry's back. Jerry's got that blue hair. Still got the blue hair. Doing all sorts of stuff with it. And Jim is the only guy who's dressed kind of normally. You know what I mean? Like he's just wearing kind of street clothes. Everybody else is trying to do something. Glenn's going for this shirtless jacket look, I guess. God, I've looked at these photos like 100 times. There are some singular band shots. I like this shot of Frank here. That's cool. I think he looks better without the shirtless tuxedo. Robbie says, I've asked Jim before what was on that. He said he was wearing a Sparks shirt and he put tape over it. So there you go. It's probably It's probably as punk as Jim gets in that kind of way, like, you know, like dressing up. He didn't really dress up too much in the photos that are available, at least. Maybe he did. Jim looks like a Vietnam vet, says JD. And I'm high. Interesting. So these are also from early 1978. All right, we're going on to our next photos here and waiting for them to load and whatnot. More shots. I think Jerry looks so great here. Ferocious. Cool photos of these guys. Still just, you know, they're still trying to find that horror look. They haven't quite got there yet. It's more of like a street getup, I guess. Jerry, he's like, grrr, ferocious Wolverine. Here's Glenn in his bedroom, and we've seen this photo before. And behind him is a picture of Marilyn, and I think you can see you can see some records on his shelves behind him. Really cool photo of Danzig. I like this photo a lot. It's cool. There's another one from this set. There's two of these. And this is from mid 78. It's too bad there aren't any dates on the back of those photos. They had to kind of guesstimate, I guess. That kind of thing. This is at Max's Kansas City. Max's Kansas City, you know, we talk you hear all the time about CBGBs. CBGBs is kind of like downtown a little bit, and Max's Kansas City is uptown. And when I say downtown and uptown, I'm really just talking about like 20 city blocks or something. I think, no, more than that, 30 blocks. But, you know, CBGBs is on the Skid Row of New York, the Bowery, and Park Avenue is where Max's Kansas City was. I believe it was on Park Avenue. Park in like 23rd or something, 24th. And this is in the dressing room, right? The backstage area, getting ready for a show. And there's the lockers behind Glenn. Now, the guy who booked him, there's Joey Image off to the left side. The guy who booked these shows, the musical director, Peter Crowley, who I interviewed for my project. He was the guy who dealt with the Misfits. He remembered the Bullet single. Glenn brought him the Bullet single, and he liked it a lot. And that's what got them the gig at Max's. That was a big gig. Talk about, you know, establishing themselves as a New York band. That happens at a place like Max's Kansas City, right? Super important. And here's early 1979. So even still, the Devil Lock is not there yet. Jerry's bass. Look, Jerry's wearing one black glove and one, and he doesn't have another glove, just one. Thank you. Okay, it was between 18th and 17th Street on Park Avenue, I think. And yeah, there's Jerry's Rickenbacker's. Well, I don't know if that's that's different from his white Rickenbacker, or if that's the white Rickenbacker that he painted black. But eventually he would take he would do what Kenny was saying. That was really cool. That was like the oral history of the band from Ken Caiafa. Pretty sweet. And Glenn is wearing long black leather dining gloves, kind of doing an Iggy Pop thing. The Iggy used to wear gloves like that. That's what I imagine that he got that sort of idea, inspiration to do that from. And, you know, I mean, look, he's wearing white. They're not all like dressed in black completely just yet. And, you know, Jerry's got that. He still has the choker, the chain choker with the lock around his neck and whatnot. Man, what I wouldn't give to hear that set that they're playing right now. So cool though. So freaking cool. And there's Joey Image behind him. Let's go to the next photo here. There's more cool shots Cool shot. And there you see Bobby Steele for the first time. And yeah, I mean, they still have a very cool look. They look like they're straight. They look like they're in, they look like they're part of a punk band, Today, Max's Kansas City, I think, is a Subway, like a Subway sandwich shop or a hair salon or something. Oh, Steve is like, who cares? Steve Zing, everybody. Steve, we know you Steve cares more than any of us. Steve is a ginormous Misfits fan too. He loves the Misfits. He does. We were talking about you earlier, Steve, when Kenny was talking about you and his history, his oral history of the band. And he was so glad that you never came into the practice, or at least according to him, that you never dropped by to jump behind the kit when he was behind the kit or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I really like these photos of the band. It's like this weird sort of, in between period, and I mean, to play Max's Kansas City, that's what's going to put you on the map, right? And then, of course, opening for the Damned helps too. I think opening for the Damned is the real like watershed moment. But playing Max's Kansas City, like, definitely is like a galvanizing moment as well. Some more shots here. Cool. Really, really, really cool. I love the one glove look, the glove child look is fun with the black glove. Can't load these photos fast enough. If you are just joining us for the first time, please make sure take a moment to subscribe, like, share. Here we go. So here is Max's this is at Irving Plaza. These are some of the best photos ever taken of the Misfits. And we could see already a dramatic change in what they are doing in their fashion and stuff. Look at now this jacket. Jerry would have this jacket all the way through the Resurrected era of the Misfits with the red felt sewn on. You could see him. He kept that jacket, and this is when the jacket still had the sleeves, and eventually he cut those sleeves off. And then he just started, what he's wearing is a weight belt that he's turned around and he's put little studs on it. And I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a whatchamacallit, a wrestling. It's kind of like a wrestling thing. I always wondered, why does Jerry wear those straps around his armpits, around his armbands? And I guess it's like kind of like a wrestling kind of thing. And of course, this is my favorite version of Glenn Danzig. Like my favorite, it's just the best, dude. He's wearing the skull face. He's got the bone shirt on. Everybody in the world that did some sort of horror rock thing afterwards would imitate this look. And it's legendary. There's Joey Image behind him. We got the horror business stuff. Tony Matura, who we've had on the show, he was at this gig. Really cool. Really, really, really cool. Yeah, man. I never get sick of looking at these photos. Really, truly. I mean, Kenny got some great shots. Yes, he does have the Crimson Ghost on his boot. I mean, this is when they just sort of embraced the Crimson Ghost, right? They finally put it on. Here's some great, I mean, that's my favorite version of Jerry Only too. By far, this is my favorite version of Jerry Only. Like his whole look and everything. He just looks awesome, dude. He looks awesome. I would give anything to hear this show. It does exist on tape. It was shot. It was recorded. It may still be intact. I can tell you 2 songs that were played at this set from I do know that Ratfink was played, and I know that they played the Monster Mash, and Tish and Snooki sang the Monster Mash with the Misfits when they played this. Here you go. You can see Rat Fink is on the set list over here. You can't really see much of the other set list, but you could see the Mad. The Mad opened up for the Misfits, and you can see their set list right there. And look, there's the skull that Kenny was talking about, dangling from Jerry's bass stock, you know, and that would evolve. Eventually, that would then go on to the bass stock, and it was very crumbly. It would break very easily. And then when he got his Annihilator, whatever, the Devastator bass, he turned into like a Cyclops skull, and then that's how, you know, you get the Cyclopean music kind of thing. Really cool stuff. Let's see what else here. Yeah, great photo of Jerry. Just friggin' cool. Look, you can see, look at all the smudges on that bass there, on that Rickenbacker. From my understanding, the Rickenbacker bass is a very heavy bass. I think it's the coolest looking bass, man. That's the bass that Lemmy from Motorhead has. I don't know. He's wearing, what are those things? Garter. What's the thing that you put on when you're getting married? He just got the coolest look, dude. He's got two skulls dangling from his chain necklace, and he's got a chipped tooth, man. And he's wearing a football makeup. I mean, he's just such a unique, cool look, even at that time. You know, it really is. It's like taking the Ramones thing to the next level. That's what it is, right? Go to the next photo here. I think we can make it through the rest of these photos. Just cool shots of Glenn, man. And look, you can see the orange balloons underneath, cheap Halloween decorations, pumpkins. Robbie says that's an expensive bass, huh? And just, I always wondered, you know, when I would look at these photos, now, are these leather gloves? Are these like did he cut those himself? And those are the leather gloves that were the Iggy gloves with the really, like, the long dining gloves. And he just sort of trimmed them and painted the skeleton stuff. And I also wonder this too, is this the first time that he did the skeleton getup? Eventually, this would be immortalized on the back of Legacy of Brutality, you know, and Danzig in the skull paint and the skeleton getup. That's what everybody, that's turning something that's real into like myth, I guess. I don't know. And, you know, when you were to watch it, you'd be like, yeah, this is really cool and yada, yada, yada. But there's something about like these photos, these black and white photos, not being born. Me personally, I was not born when this happened. I was born in 85, so this was 6 years before I was born. So to me, it's like, it's all mythology, you know, and that's what makes it so cool to me. You know, that's why I enjoy this stuff. I enjoy looking at this stuff so much, and I never get sick of it. I really don't. For the most part, I don't. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I take a break and I venture off into some other fandom that I'm really into. And this right here, okay, this is my favorite photo of the Misfits, bar none. It's this photo, I think. Pretty positive. No, there's one more that is actually my favorite. This is partially my favorite. And look at all the streaming paper below. They were throwing out copies of Bullet into the audience, according to Tony. And this giant. So speaking of Steve Zing, I don't know if he probably left. Who cares that we're talking about the Misfits, right, Steve? No, this thing was actually in Steve's possession, this giant Misfits banner thing. It was made out of chicken wire. And when they left Vernon, Steve acquired it, and he had it for years. I think he sold it. Steve has some really cool stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Eventually they would just ditch. I mean, they would ditch their shirts, and they just were like barbarians, shirtless, you know, and Jerry just wearing the backwards weight belt. Oh man. Good stuff. All right, let's go to the next photo, shall we? I feel like I'm doing a slideshow. I feel like a teacher. All right, here. So, all right. So here is them in Hollywood, their first time on the out on the coast. I always thought Glenn looked really, really silly in this photo. He's doing a weird pose. He probably thinks he looks cooler than he does. Jerry looks awesome, and Doyle looks bad. They all look great, except for Glenn. Glenn does not look good in this photo. They all look awesome. They look like a really cohesive. I love this look of doing like the boot with like the whatever it is, the bandanas around the boot. That's a really cool look. And you know, it's funny, Jerry's Devil Lock is like slicked all the way forward and stuff. And Doyle's Devil Lock is like, it's like spiky in the back. It's Doyle's is more of a reverse mullet because it's party in the back and business. Wait, no, that's not how it works. It's punky in the back and party in the front. I don't know how to, I don't know. It really is. It's a reverse rat tail. You know, Bobby Steele actually said it. Bobby Steele said it the best. He said that that this was the look. This was the 50s greaser look. This is sorry, no, how did he phrase it? He said the Misfits were 50s greasers of the future. Like if you're looking at the future from the 50s, then you would see the Misfits. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me when he said it. Ace says, I always thought GD's pose was emulating a zombie walk, an EC Comics kind of thing. You might be right. Very possible. Very, very possible. But nonetheless, and he does not have an Iceman. I think that's a Les Paul or a knockoff Les Paul that Doyle's playing. And it's like they're just walking around California. They're walking around post-apocalyptic greasers. I like that, Prone. They're just walking around. What's up, crazy white boy? How you doing? Yes, Noodles does love Bobby Steele. Always likes talking about Bobby. I like that. Post-apocalyptic greasers. They're just walking around with their guitars always. Like it's just like it's a pocketbook, like it's your wallet. The Jerry Only's constantly carrying around his guitar. You know, I guess maybe because they wanted to take photos, but still. And I've talked about this before, how, you know, at least Doyle and Jerry, they're kind of like Pokemon, you know, like the Pokemon, they always evolve and stuff. And these guys kind of like aren't in their final form yet. Or if you're into like Dragon Ball Z, you know, the spiky hair, like, you know, growing and growing and growing and growing. They haven't reached their final form yet. He says, this is what Kenny says, my brothers and I had never been to California before touring. For me, the whole trip was exciting and interesting. I remember running to the Pacific Ocean, touching it, and feeling like I made it to the other side. That's a beautiful feeling, I think. Truly. Waiting for the next photo. I didn't think we were going to make it through all these photos. Okay, so this is November 20th, 1981, 4 years and 5 days before I would be born. This was the on Broadway. So this was the night, I guess this was the night that they met Black Flag. Yeah, that was the night they met Black Flag. And that was the night that Henry sang vocals on We Are 138. The on Broadway was an old stage theater. I was happy that it had a balcony. From that high vantage point, I could get a full stage shots with all 4 band members in the frame. This proved to be a great opportunity to capture the big picture. Black Flag was playing downstairs at Mabuhay Gardens, and the 2 bands met each other for the first time that day during the Misfits sound check. Cool beans. Cool beanios. Doobity-doo. Here's some more shots. Somebody's peeking from behind the curtain. I love that big red velvety curtain. It kind of reminds me of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. How great would the Rocky Horror Picture Show have been if the curtain came up during the floor show and the Misfits played Vampira? That would be fun. But yeah, it's pretty great. It's pretty cool. And they're just doing their thing. Looks like someone's calling out to them, I guess. I don't know. That's a nice stage. All right. We're on 43. If it is your first time joining us, I'd just like to say thank you so much. Thank you for participating in the chat. I'm sorry we're not getting to all the comments. We'll do a quick thing of comments afterwards. Please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. We do this all the time. We're constantly doing stuff. Did you know we're doing a Devil Lock pageant? That's right. If you go and look at the previous episode from last week, you will find out more information for the Devil Lock. So it's called Devil Lock Pageantifuge 2. Pageant Fuge 2. We're going to have a panel of judges, and people are going to send in their Devil Lock pictures, and we're going to rate them and declare a pageant winner. And we have 2 contests running. Go watch the episode to find out more information. Download the instructions. There's a Google Drive link. Make sure you do that. And like I said, if it's your first time here, like, share, subscribe. Check out the Patreon. If you want to hear more stuff from Kenny, go check out the Patreon. We have outtakes of Kenny's interviews, stuff that will never make the documentary project that we're working on. That's right. Be a Patreon. You can't look forever. Patreonage. I just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreons who are out there. That stuff keeps this going. That keeps this happening. That sort of stuff. You watching these videos, that keeps it happening too. But the Patreon and, again, just turning up, that really helps. All that stuff helps. Even just letting your ad run. Damn YouTube ads. Here's some more. All right. Back to our scheduled programming. Here's some more photos. We have the Cuckoo's Nest, a very popular LA place. I know the TSOL used to play there a lot. Circle Jerks. Oh, I said the word. No, I said the bad word. Dang it. I always get in trouble for that word. Great shots, though. Glenn and the Crossbones, the iconic Crossbones shirt, and some early Crimson Ghost armbands looking great. And the Devil Locks are really just forming, as we can see here. That was November 27th. Shortly 3 years and 63 days before I was born. I measure these things. Hold on 1 second. Okay, here's some more shots. I love that. Now, Glenn took that skull and bones. You've seen that a lot. That comes from a Japanese anime called Captain Harlock, and he's like a space pirate. And Glenn was really into anime before it was really cool to be into anime. And he was watching stuff like Astro Boy, just all that stuff. He was into that stuff. And, you can almost see that a lot of Glenn's look comes from Captain Harlock with the hair and the face. Glenn's Devil Lock is a little bit more bushy. He always kind of said that he kind of started the Devil Lock. I think it was Jerry. Glenn was trying to do his own thing of what Jerry was doing, but his is more Eddie Monster-ish. I'm a bigger fan of the Glenn style Devil Lock. I like that just big sort of werewolf tuft of hair that comes down. I think it looks cooler. Just my own personal taste. So yeah, what was that 44 up to 45 on our slideshow? This is a slideshow. We've seen this this is an image we've seen a lot. And you can see this choker, Elizabeth EVB. She was in possession of this. I was at her house and I saw that choker that Doyle's wearing right there on a box. I was like, oh my God, I recognize that from photos. And look, here's the evolution of Jerry's bass now. Now it's been really like sort of done up with the jigsaw, and he's wearing those arm spaghetti string things. His pants are unbuttoned again, and he added a big M. Look, he jigsawed out at like a roto sawed a big M onto the headstock, and he put this skull. Now these skulls, from what I understand, they were actually really heavy, and they were really, really brittle, so they would break really easy. And he had molds, so he would make a new one and fix it on top of the headstock, and then again, eventually, he was able to get he would do what's it called? He'd not out of latex, out of like rubber. He'd make rubber ones, I guess, that were easier to work with. that wouldn't break so easily, is what I really mean to say. And the Misfits were infamous for these engineer boots. And I'll tell you, have you ever tried wearing a high cut boot? I have a pair of biker boots. They're not engineer boots. And whenever I try to tuck my pants into them, I just look like a doofus, man. You have to wear really, really, really tight pants in order to wear boots over your jean, or else you're just going to look like a goofy pirate. Like, you need, and the thing is, the engineer boot has a strap on the top, and it kind of opens up for your pant leg to sort of fit in a little bit better. It looks better. And you can see back here, there's Doyle's Iceman. So he did have the Iceman, and his is all jigsawed up as well. Right. And this is, I guess this is either a Les Paul or Les Paul knockoff, but he had 2 guitars for that tour. Let's see here. Up to 46, page 46. I wish I had the slide. We need the slideshow sound noise. And you can see right here, look at the engineer boot. See how the buckle is all actually undone, and the pant leg is tighter, and the boots are actually kind of baggy. Look how baggy or, loose fitting that engineer boot is. So the jean pant or whatever he's wearing, the spandex, they easily will sort of it'll go right in. I love engineer boots, man. I think they are super cool. Look at Glenn's mug there, mean mug in there. Great shots of the band though. This is a great shot. This shot of Doyle is a great shot. I like Doyle's Devil Lock too, man. He does it real punky style, spiking it up in the back. Such an interesting look, man. It kind of blows my mind that the Devil Lock did not become a more popular hairstyle. It's really still very synonymous with the Misfits. Do you think it would have become more widely adopted than it did? But it is a hairstyle. It is a punk rock hairstyle, I guess. Here's another shot. Maybe this is at the beginning because Glenn's still wearing his jacket. He hasn't taken. Yeah, they haven't taken off their jackets yet. Cool. Really, really cool. And there's a very famous shot of TSOL for the TSOL EP, the first EP. Look, Doyle actually has 3 guitars. I never noticed that before. Wow. So Jerry has 2 basses. See, look, there's Jerry's bass back there. He had 2 different basses. And Doyle had 3 guitars. Huh. Well, how about that? I never noticed that before. And anyway, this was the stage. Ed Culver took a picture of TSOL, that iconic photo that's on their self-titled EP. Where are we at? 48. Okay. Going to page 48. My little clicker. Is that the sound it makes? Here we go. And here they are, of course, Marilyn Monroe, Alfred Hitchcock, some sort of harpy right there. We got some sort of donation just occurred from East. East, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. I can't see who is East. East just supported the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. It's not showing up on my thing. I just got a little notification here, but I just want to thank you for your support. Thank you. Truly. So yeah, these are cool photos. I mean, all the photos we're looking at are pretty cool. Hollywood Babylon, just geeking out, right? Over the Hollywood stars and whatnot. There's that one of the Misfits wrote. It was like they put 666 on the thing. 49. 49. Keep going here. Let's see what comes next. More of Glenn down on the pavement. And they got the Captain Harlock skull and crossbones right there. Pretty cool. I don't know what this photo is. I guess it's just walkway. I don't know. to our next one here. Yes, the Bullwinkle. This really foreshadows what Glenn would come to embrace, the Bullwinkle skull, as they would call them. Misfits on Sunset Boulevard. I don't know if that's still around, but look at all these photos they took with Bullwinkle. They thought that was a good idea. These are very silly photos. I wish one of them had jumped up to hang up with the moose and the squirrel, or the squirrel, I should say, up here. Look how disheveled it is too. Interestingly enough. How about that? Takes forever to load up. Here we go. With Mighty Mouse. I guess that's supposed to be Lon Chaney from the Phantom of the Opera. Here's some really great shots, though, of their hairstyles once again. I mean, Jerry's really doing this sort of comb forward sort of thing. Doyle's spiking it up. And Glenn's is more of a mop top. And then Googie the Misfit. Look at Googie's mug here. The Misfit within the Misfits with the blonde, spiky hair. Couldn't get with the program, Goog. Couldn't get with the program. This is a fun shot, though. Like it. This was at Universal Studios. Of course, they did Universal Studios, as you do when you're in Cali, right? God, Doyle must be... So Doyle is 17 there. Isn't that crazy? That's them just hanging out. And you could tell, as Kenny has said, he was an amateur photographer, and a lot of these photos are not, the composition is not the best, like this one would work a lot better if you just sort of cropped it right here. And Kenny is just doing the best that he can with the knowledge that he has and all of his responsibilities as he takes these photos. 53. Going to 53. And again, they're just walking around Universal with their guitars. Yes, there's Jaws. I mean, they're just like casually just walking around with their guitars slung over. I never noticed that Googie has an American flag hanging off his leather jacket and white pants tucked into his engineer boots, which are shorter than the other guy's engineer boots. I really like Doyle's. Doyle's are great. Just love this style. Love the style. Love the look. 53, 54. Let's see. Yes. We're leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when we'll be back again. You can see, and now you'll notice on the back of Doyle's jacket, he's painted on this crimson ghost here, and that's what they would do at a lot of shows. They did it in Sam Hain too. You could just bring your jacket, and they had a stencil, and they'd spray paint the Misfits shirt right on the back of that jacket, something like that. I don't know if that's what happened on the back of Doyle's jacket, but if the Misfits were touring through the town, they would do that. Spread the mark, that kind of thing. And here's what's known. I forget. I believe they call these the Mongolian haircuts at some point. But as you can see, what's with the awkward shaving on the side? That's how you cultivated your devil lock. You gotta, you gotta shave the sides of your head. It's gonna look really awkward until it grows in, I guess. It was not a good look. Not a good look for those guys. And you'll see Jerry looks like a goon, like a real goon. They both look like goons in this. This was December 25th. This was Christmas 1981, Hitsville, Passaic Park, New Jersey. As the band began writing the harder Earth AD material, they developed an image inspired by the movies The Hills Have Eyes and Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. On Christmas Day of 1981, Glenn was still wearing his handmade Captain Harlock shirt, but the haircuts were moving into a mutant style. Note Corey Rusk and Todd Swalla of the Necros and Earl Liberty of Saccharine Trust and the CJs in the front row. There's Earl right there. And there's Todd Swalla and Corey Rusk. Cool. I never realized that. I never realized that was them. Yeah, mutant style. Look at Jerry, man. Look at that haircut. Now, here's the thing I want to wonder. I have to wonder this. Here's what I have to wonder. Was this, in fact, an attempt? I always assumed that this was just an attempt to sort of upkeep the devil lock. But in reality, would you really need to do all that? In fact, is it? I mean, is this just their way of like ensuring that the front part of the hair is going to be longer than the back part, or are they, as Kenny was saying in the previous thing about the mutant hairstyle, are they trying to go in a completely different direction by butchering their hair and trying to do something even more extreme than a devil lock? That never occurred to me until this moment that it's possible, that's possible. Interesting. But yeah, Jerry looks crazy in these photos. Really, truly. It does have a Hills Have Eyes vibe. Look at him, dude. Googie was like, I'm not a part of that. I'm not going to do that. And I don't think Doyle did either. It was just Jerry and Glenn got the bright idea. I mean, that is a weird haircut for Glenn. That's weird. Not a fan of that. And Doyle was like, I'm not doing this. Look at the Poland Spring a jug of water over here. 9. Yeah, it is kind of like a mohawk. And that is okay, so this is what the back of the book looks like. This was not the total book. I only had part of the book. I'm going to get into that one second. Let's just read this real quick. They landed in barren fields in the cold New Jersey plains. Starting in 1977, Glenn Danzig and Jerry Only spawned a punk rock B movie invasion from mythical Lodi, New Jersey. Ken Caiafa, brother of Jerry and Misfits guitarist Doyle, captured the evidence of the band's gestation during its classic DIY era, including home photos and sightings from Irving Plaza, Max's Kansas City, the Rock on Broadway, and the Cuckoo's Nest. Music photo legend Frank White picked up the trail of the band's sequel Mutation, documenting monster video shoots and stage landings from CBGBs to giant festivals in Europe. Between them, the Bro and the Pro, White and Caiafa present the authoritative visual history of 3 decades of violent seduction by punks inspired teenagers from Mars, the Misfits. So that's where the book ends. And it used to retail for $34.95. And now, like I said, it goes for hundreds of dollars, $200, $250 maybe. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So it's kind of like, I mean, you can't, it's hard to get your hands on these books. So I figured, why not? Let's read through it. That's all I have of that chapter. I am currently procuring the other half is coming to me, and we will do a part 2 that will probably be a little bit goofier, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to take a look at the part 2 of this book and the history and yada, yada, yada. But that kind of wraps up everything, at least in part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun. Let's go to some comments before we get out of here, shall we? And if it is your first time joining us, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. You could support like East did. Thank you, East. Check out the Patreon. We got lots of exclusive videos in there that are not on the YouTube channel. Lots of updates and things, all sorts of stuff. Whoa. That was weird. Can you see me? I hope so. I don't know what just happened there. My thing was thinging on me. Something went down. Did I like freeze up or something? Just tuning in. I have 2 copies of this book. I will trade one of them for a master tape to the Channel Club video. Says Jeff's Addiction. Amy really enjoyed looking at the photos. Awesome. Cheers. Amazing look for an amazing band. Was it no, Exacto, they were called Pro Edge. Exacto was their it was Pro Edge. It was not Exacto. Punks, sorry, the thing is really hard. It doesn't show up. It was Exacto that their family started. Yeah. Apparently they brought animal carcasses from the butcher to the show. I asked a bunch of people. I asked people who were there. I asked some other people. I don't know. That they said that. Thanks, Steve. Steve's a good guy. Steve's the best. We're doing a music video with Steve. It's coming soon. You'll see it. Sad we lost Joey. Yes, a shame. Absolutely a shame. I bought a bass drum head of the Crimson Ghost riding, and God, I hate it when I'm trying to do a comment. I'm trying to show a comment and it doesn't help me. I bought a bass drum head of the Crimson Ghost riding in the back of a cab, meter fare, reading 138, which was the price, but it was perfect for me as I used to drive a taxi. He signed the back. I think he's talking about Joey Image. If you've not seen it, you cannot see it publicly anymore, like the full thing. It is out there. Somebody took it off my computer. It is out there. The full version of 1979, A Year of Horror Business. Some of you who have been on this channel for a long time know of this video. It's like a 3-hour video documentary podcast that details the Misfits right up until the year 1979. Check it out if you can find it. It's out there somewhere. Maybe somebody torrented it. It's nothing that you haven't seen before, but it's all presented in a very sort of chronological way that features, and it's dedicated to Joey Image because we did it. Joey Image passed away, and then I started putting that together kind of because I thought it would be cool to take a look at the year 1979. So yeah. What else? I'm just sorry. I'm going through all these comments now. Blah, 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 something about Googie. What is it? I actually like that Googie was going for his own look versus just being a clone of the other dudes, says Small Board. What is that? SMCLL board? Yeah, man. I guess. I did freeze up, didn't I? I did freeze up. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. Okay. Yeah, so I froze. I didn't realize that I froze. Hey, man, I'm glad you like the videos. I appreciate you watching, truly. Maybe it was okay, so here we have a thesis here from Carnegie is saying maybe it was trying to do the early hardcore shave the head thing, but keep the devil lock, obviously. You might be right. You might be right. We will see. I'm a new fan of your channel. Thank you. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribing is important. Like I said, seek out 1979, A Year of Horror Business. Lots of videos on this channel. Seems we have a lot of newcomers to the channel tonight. I had a feeling this would be hopefully a larger episode where would have gotten a little bit more reach. And I just wanted to say, if you're new to this, please explore the channel. So many videos like this. We have videos of all shapes and sizes. Some videos are just little clips. I take these long shows, I clip them up in little sound bites, and then I put them out. Because some people don't want to sit through hours of me talking. They just want like a little soundbite here and there. So I do that too. You know, we kind of try and hit all the bases here on the channel like that. back in the day growing up, I was 11, and the first time I saw the Misfits and heard it scared me for a while. And your videos are funny and cool. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really do. I really appreciate all you guys watching these videos. So as I was saying, so tomorrow night, we are taking a look at a exploitation film called Dear God No from 2011. We're doing Sinful Celluloid, which is the podcast that I do with Christopher M. Jimenez, where we talk about movies and stuff. And next week, I'm not sure, but like I said, huge show is coming on. A first for the streaming Evilive show. Let's put it that way. If you want to see an episode that's not on this channel that I did with Bobby Steele, go check out on Rock Fantasy's channel, the Halloween episode. I was me as a panelist with Bobby Steele. We had a great time. We talked about a bunch of stuff. What else? Okay, Ray Garcia says here, wait a minute. Ray was a roadie. Ray was a roadie on this tour, I think. The reason behind Jerry's mohawk was because we had a friend who was a Marine and on leave and thought it would be a great idea to give him a combo devil lock Marine cut. Dude, Ray's solving the mystery. Thank you, Ray. Thank you. Yes, Ray was on this tour and he was a roadie. Something like that. Talk about a guy. This is a guy that knows stuff. He knows the stuff. Ray, thank you for clearing that up. I really do appreciate it. Because I always wondered that. So it was kind of like it was like trying to do a combo, I guess. Huh? How about that? Didn't always happy to learn something new on this channel. What else do we have coming up in the future? If you're a Patreon member, we have been reading Return of the Living Dead, the novelization. We've been going chapter by chapter on chapter 5 right now. Make sure you make sure you check that out. What else can I tell you? Like I said, big surprise guest coming to the show. In addition, we're going to have Tank, Jonathan Grimm, Tank. He's going to be on the show. That's going to be great. Yes. Big shout out to Ray. Ray is awesome. He knows cool stuff. Thank you, Rue. Thank you, Rue, for always being here. Rue has been here. Rue has been in this stream for almost 2 years now. We've been doing this for almost 2 years. It's coming up. We're going to have in 2 months. We will have been doing this for 2 years. We have to have some sort of big anniversary celebration. Hey, Vegan Munster, thank you for joining the channel. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. Glad to have you. Thanks for commenting in the comments. So we'll be back. We will do another episode. We will do another one of these episodes with the rest of the book. And like I said, it's a shame that we can't go out and buy the book. Like, I would love to do that. Want to support Kenny, want to support Frank in the right kind of way. It's not available. It's out of print. So the only way we get to look at it is do that. And it's cool to hear Kenny's version of the oral. It's that's his version. That's his history of the Misfits, his version of the history of the Misfits. When is the show with Jim? I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. Oh, should we just let the cat out of the bag? We might as well just do it. Okay, here's why I don't want to do Erie's book, because Erie's book is still available for sale. I thought about doing Erie's book, and I've not done it because, like, I kind of want to do it, but like a part of me feels like, I mean, that dude, that's how he makes money from that book. And like, it's still available for purchase. And I wouldn't want to do anything that might hinder his ability to, I don't know, make money from his book. And doing like a look through with the book might do that. I would love to do a look through of that book. I can't, or at least not right now. I don't feel comfortable without his blessing. I need his blessing to do that. Wait a minute. Is your daughter Amy? Is Amy your daughter, dude? Vegan Munster. We have a friggin' father daughter viewership here. That's great. I think. I don't know. Is this the same Amy? I'm not sure. I want Erie to come on the channel, dude. I do. I've reached out to him. I have not heard back. You know what? I'm just gonna drop it here. We're gonna no, I can't. Supposed to do, there's a surprise coming to the channel. It's not Erie. Erie is not the surprise, but we have a surprise guest coming. Very excited about it. I feel so bad for this guy because we're just going to ask him lots of questions. He's going to be he's so nice and awesome. And, that's awesome, dude. That's so great. Yes. Love it. I love it. You have taught your daughter well. She knows so much cool stuff. She's always contributing in the chat. You know, all these great facts and factoids. So we're glad to have you, Mr. Vegan Munster. Welcome to the channel. That's awesome. Yes. Yes. Yes, I really, really want. Oh yeah, this is kind of like book club, isn't it? We should call this book club. I'm going to do a playlist called Misfits Book Club because we've done Scream With Me, and now we have Teenagers from Mars, and now we need to do Misery Obscura. But I will not do it without Erie's blessing. I can't. I just don't want to do it. I want him to be comfortable with it. Thank you for taking the time to interview the people that made the Misfits what they are. Yeah, dude. I mean, we've spoken to a bunch of people. All that stuff is in the Patreon. Some of it you can see. I'm starting to send preview. What I'm doing is I'm going through my tapes slowly, and I have so much extra material that doesn't really contribute to the narrative, but is very interesting. And so I figured, let me start putting this stuff on. Let me start putting this stuff on the Patreon. This music leaves stains. I don't really. I don't know if I would ever do that book. I don't own that book. I don't really want to purchase that book because, like I said, that book takes a lot of its stuff from Misfit Central, and it just kind of bums me out, to be honest. I've heard that Erie is working on a second book. I would love to pick his brain about it. I don't know if he will do that, but I'd love to have Erie. I truly would love to have Erie on. You hear that? Go, if you want Erie to be on this show, go bother him. No, don't bother him. Yes, bother him. Let's get him on the show. We've had Steve. We had Pete. Now we just need Erie and London. We'll talk to every Sam Hain member that will that would hopefully talk to us, because I don't think we'd ever get Glenn to talk to us in that kind of way. But like I said, another really exciting guest will be coming for sure. What's with the moon logo with the bullet in its eye? I'm glad you asked that. The moon logo, it's not my logo, though I do have a new logo now. The moon logo, that's from A Trip to the Moon. And it is the first science fiction film. And I kind of wanted to have my own. I was trying to figure out, like, what could be my logo. I'm a filmmaker. I love cinema. I love movies as much as I love music. And I was thinking, this is a public domain image, and I'll make this my own Crimson Ghost. This is going to be my Crimson Ghost. That's what it is. And that's not that is a bullet in the moon's eye. And it kind of symbolizes the idea of creating something that assaults the senses. When I think of that image, I think like it's kind of invocative of Un Chien Andalou, Salvador Dali's surrealist film from 1922 that Black Francis writes about in the song Debaser. Got me a movie, slicing up eyeballs, girlie so groovy, I want you to know, don't know about you, but I am Un Chien Andalusia. Yes, it was the space capsule. Right. So Amy, back in the 90s, the Smashing Pumpkins made the coolest music video ever. That was an homage to A Trip to the Moon. You can watch it. It's 12 minutes long. It's from 1902. So the movie is 118 years old now. And it's, I don't know. It's great. It's really great. Yeah, you're right, man. It is about peace and hair grease time. Look at this. I got a stage manager telling me it's peace and hair grease time. We've been going for 2 hours and 25 minutes and we still have 55 people watching. Yes. And there's a great movie that Scorsese did called Hugo about his filmography. Really great stuff. So I've actually designed. Do you want to see what the logo looks like? I'll show it to you guys. You want to see it real quick before we go? So here is the Frumess version. I've actually made this, and you'll be able to see a preview of it very soon. Mom, you are so late. You don't even know. Mom, oh, shit. Here we go. Oh, no. So, yeah, you are. You're super late. All right, I'm going to show you the preview of my new logo. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I'll put it on a t-shirt, some stickers and stuff. I actually have somebody kind of working on that right now. You might know him from riotstickers.com. I don't know what he's doing with it. Josh is doing something with the logo, but here it is real quick. I'm unveiling the logo. I wanted to do something a little bit different to make it mine. Like, I didn't just want to take the image. I wanted to incorporate myself in the image somehow. So everything I do is surrounded around me, the narcissist that I am. So here is my version of the logo. That's it. Boom. So I think that's going to be the new thing, you guys, at some point. And I just took a photo of myself and sort of put it under there. And that is this right here is from Horror Business. That's the NESS, and then I made the from. So that's Horror Business. Would you ever take this on the road, like going to Misfits hotspots in New York, New Jersey? Go look at. We did a video about the Misfits statue at the Lodi, and there's a Lodi VFW show. Go check out that. Oh, Mom, you like the logo? You guys like it? Cool. Like it. Rue is down with it. Sweet. I'm glad you guys dig. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I was like trying to figure out how to like get it going, like how to crack that nut. But we did it. So I guess this is probably where we are going to end the show. Really fun show, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Got a lot of nice new people here. Well, very nice to meet you, Vegan Monster, aka Amy's father. Welcome to the channel. What is that? Is that a moon, Minister? Definitely need to print that on a t-shirt. I probably will. It'll probably happen. One thing that's nice, I 100% own that. That's mine. And that's what's nice. I mean, this, again, I could use this moon, but it's just not, it's not, I don't know. I wanted to create something that made a lot of sense. But in any case, listen, I'm going to go. I need to unwind. It's been a long day. I'm going to go watch the new Boba Fett, the Boba Fett, whatchamacallit, Book of Boba Fett. As we say on this channel every night, because we do this every night, peace and hair grease. And one more thing, what do you guys know about Patreon? Do you guys know anything about Patreon? You don't know about the Patreon? You don't know about the Patreon? Well, let me tell you something about the Patreon. Let me tell you right now about that. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk and I never shut the fuck up. So right now I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube Casualty for $6.66. The YouTube Casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.